Friends, this is my homily from last week from the Feast of the Exaltation of the Holy Cross, and that was a really difficult homily to prepare. There's no doubt that week itself was remarkably violent in our nation, no matter how you look at it. And all of us know that if you just keep pushing back in terms of time, we find more and more and more instances of violence, things that contribute to what people had been saying to me. Father, things just feel heavy. And so I was really praying, Lord, what do you want me to say to this? How do I speak into all of that heaviness, all of that darkness? The Lord reminded me of my own retreat back in June. So a little bit before retreat as a priest, it's always good to sit and meet with your regular spiritual director just to kind of talk about where things are at for you. Gives you a good sense of what the landscape is before you go into retreat. So I was doing that, and I just was angry. There was a lot of anger that emerged, and it was strange for me. And my director talked about how it was strange for me. So he said, okay, let's keep looking at this. Let's look at what was going on, see where this is coming from. Because it isn't about the thing, whatever that was, that kind of stirred up the anger. And as I prayed with it over the next few days before beginning retreat, I realized I've got a list. There was this laundry list then that I unloaded on my retreat director when I sat down with him for the first time. It was clear. In the last year, I lost a friend violently. I had to move for the 6th time in 9 years. I'd had a few difficult experiences in terms of just personal interactions. And then, well, I could go back even further. I could go all the way back to right after I was ordained, and I came down with a chronic illness that's led to me getting moved a couple of times. We talk about having to have been a place where I started the conversation about potentially closing a parish. And I could just keep adding to this list, and I did. And finally, when I'd kind of spent all of my head of steam, my retreat director just looked at me and he goes, Father, it sounds to me like you've been really good at being on the cross. You've been faithful to that. But it also sounds like you resent it and you're ready to be done. It was pretty accurate. And so, in light of that, I took all of that list to prayer. Now, to be clear, I'm not sharing parts of my list because it's the world's saddest song on the world's smallest violin. I want sympathy for Father Aaron. No, it's because, if we're honest, all of us have that list. The things that we have stored up that contribute to how heavy things feel, how dark they seem to be. And we can be really reluctant to take them to the Lord. Maybe because we don't want to think about them, maybe because we don't want to deal with them, maybe because we're ashamed of them, and that if we go to the Lord, it will somehow feel like we're being ungrateful or unfaithful. And I took that list to the Lord. And as I was there with him in front of the Blessed Sacrament for multiple holy hours of my retreat, I experienced him reminding me through the scriptures of the different figures who were honest. St. Peter, Lord, we've left everything to follow you. What will there be for us? Jeremiah, you duped me, O Lord, and I let myself be duped. Martha, Lord, if you'd have been here, my brother would not have died. And as I kept praying, it felt like more and more and more of those figures, those passages popped to mind, as if the Lord was just inviting me, just get it all out. And as I did that, there finally was space, quiet for him to be able to respond. And in that then, my director brought out the image to reflect on of the two thieves on either side of Jesus. And he says, the good thief he is able to recognize in the midst of his pain that he isn't alone, that Christ is right next to him, also in that pain. Whereas the bad thief, all he's got is his pain. He's imprisoned in it. He just wants the pain to stop. Get us down from this cross, Lord. But the good thief sees something beyond. He asks about Jesus' kingdom. And so we're left with that question. Which of the thieves do we want to mirror? Are we able to look past our pain, or rather, maybe to look through it, like the good thief did, recognizing that with the presence of Christ beside him, there was more that was there than just the pain of the cross in that present moment. But we do not like being in that place. And my retreat director led me right to that. He said, "So, Father, are you able to see the beauty of the cross?" And I had to be honest. No. I could talk about the beauty of the cross intellectually. Right? I know that it is the source of mercy and of salvation. I know it is an illustration of Christ's love. But in that list of things that I brought, I did not want to stay there. I wanted to get far away. And this is all of us, again. Right? It's hard to remain just at the foot of the cross. In fact, we want to find ways to get away, and sometimes we have really good reasons, good ways of doing it. I have to be busy at my parish. I've got so much to do. I have to be busy for my family. I've got so much to do. Or maybe we find recreations. So, okay, I'm going to take lots of social engagements. I'm going to sit down and watch some TV, or like me, maybe play a video game. Nothing wrong with that, but again, an escape. Or we may try and come up with solutions. Right? We may say, I know exactly what needs to be done to make our schools and our churches safer. I know exactly what led to these events, whose fault it is, what ideas were at play. And I will tell everybody that. Okay? There is place for all of those conversations. But if we aren't beginning, having anchored ourselves in encountering Jesus there with us and for us on the cross, and in his love making the cross beautiful, all of those things are ultimately escapes and will not bear real fruit, because it keeps us locked in our pain like that bad thief, seeking only to escape from the pain. But if we linger, if we spend that time just looking at the cross, and more importantly, looking at the one who is on it with us, then we are lifted out of our pain, and instead of getting away from the cross, we are able to look through it to his kingdom. So I just invite us, as we continue to move forward, as we continue to encounter darkness, maybe darkness on an international, a national level, or the darkness that we encounter day to day in our own lives, the things that make life feel heavy. To not reach for the ways that we run from it first, but first in our heart to be before the cross, not by ourselves, but looking at the one who is there with us, the one who makes it beautiful by his presence. And maybe it requires us being honest. Here's my list, and Lord, I don't see it as beautiful. That's where we begin. But if we keep going there in faith, we will hear the voice of the Lord. speak to us the way that Jesus spoke to the good thief. You will be with me in paradise. And that doesn't just talk about the kingdom of heaven in its final form, but it also will be a breaking in of the kingdom of heaven, of Christ's love in the here and now. So may we continue to place ourselves before Jesus, before his cross, and remain there with him. God bless you.